Hey guys, Ricky Widmer here from Most Valuable Podcast. You're about to listen to a little bit of our primetime podcast that we recorded this week. Make sure to go to BlogTalkRadio / Most Valuable Podcast for our full-length podcast that you can go ahead and download. I hope you enjoy it. I know me and Brandon did recording it. We're going to move on, Brandon, we got two coaching segments to get into, and I asked you before the podcast which one we should talk about first. We got Minnesota, we got Chip Kelly. You voted to talk about the Chippers first, the Chip Kelly first on the podcast. And basically what we're going to be looking at is on the onside kick, we looked at what's next for Chip Kelly and the 49ers. And me and Mark talked a lot about NFL side. But today, Chip Kelly came out and said that he's going to weigh all options. I'll ask you this, Brandon. Does Chip Kelly make a return to college football?
You know, Ricky, I think that if he makes a return anywhere, it's going to be to college football. Someone's going to pick him up. Someone's going to want him to be part of their team and lead their team and put him in a West Coast style offense and play their team and use their players like he did at Oregon. That's what they're going to want. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're going to get that Chip Kelly. And I know that college, NFL, different, so many levels. Chip Kelly failed miserably in San Francisco. Yes, I get it. He had terrible pieces in place. A roster with talent that, Ricky, you and I could have been in the mix for a starting role. Bad. Just flat out bad. But Chip Kelly didn't show me anything.
Even when he was with the Eagles.
Nothing. And I'm talking about his obviously his latest stint. But with the Eagles, it was just With San Francisco, it was, oh my gosh, this is bad. There was nothing there that showed me anything good. But one of the things I said to you before we came on the podcast today, is he going to be like Nick Saban, who goes to the NFL, sucks, comes back to college, and what a god. And I think that there's possibility there because Chip Kelly was good before he left. Mm-hmm. Jim Harbaugh, he was in college, went to the NFL, but he was good. He was good in the NFL. San Francisco,
he got run out of town.
San Francisco just doesn't know what they want. And that's why they're so bad.
And that's why they fired not just the head coach, but the GM as well.
And then he came back here into college. He's at the University of Michigan. They have an outstanding program. Chip Kelly, I don't think he's certainly not a good NFL coach, but he showed that he is a good college coach. There is going to be some school that tries to pick him up. There's going to be.
Well, and there is. And the one thing that I think too, and this relates to Chip Kelly, and I'm glad you brought up Nick Saban, because the thing that Nick Saban, and to me, the reason why he is so successful in college compared to the NFL, it is far easier for a coach in college to have control of everything. In the NFL, you can't do it. You cannot have control of everything. You can't be the player personnel guy and the head coach and the this and the that. Like Chip Kelly was not just the player personnel guy, the head coach. He was also had the strict regimen of diet for his players, had the sleep schedule. They had to wear, I know in Philadelphia at least, they had to wear the heart monitors to kind of like, he controlled everything. That's the way Chip Kelly is. Those guys, those work in college. Look at Nick Saban. He controls everything at Alabama. Nothing goes through that football program unless Nick Saban knows about it. And it kind of comes down to, this is more so for his winning pedigree. I heard on the Herd with Colin Cowherd, he had a guest on, and basically what they said was, you know, Nick Saban could commit murder in Alabama and not go to jail. That is how successful he's been. And Chip Kelly almost was, I would say, was when he was with Oregon, same thing. Could commit murder in Oregon, wouldn't get charged, especially unless it was around where Oregon State is. Maybe they would trial him, but if he was in Eugene, and committed murder, nope, would have got off scotch-free. Obviously, that's a joke, people. But I think that Chip Kelly needs to go back to college football eventually. I'm not saying like this year, go back, find a team, but eventually needs to go back to college football because that's where his sort of style works. He's a coach that likes control of everything, likes to have his hands in everything, and you do that in college football. And his offense, I mean, it works better in college football. I mean, you look at the NFL, they are grown-ass men, whereas in college, you are dealing with kids. It is easier to tell a kid out of high school, hey, you should do this, and let them, like the diet, the sleep thing, let them, hey, you should do this. Okay, coach. Whereas an NFL player, dude, don't tell me how to live my life. Like, there might be some NFL players that are like, okay, you know what, this is really going to help me. I might take it as constructive criticism. But there are some NFL guys that it would seem like it rubs them the wrong way. Where it's like, you know what, I've been doing this a while. I think I know what I'm doing. Whereas a college kid is a little bit more impressionable than a grown man in the NFL. So that's why I think that Chip Kelly, not necessarily this year, I think he should just sit on his couch this year. I mean, he's getting paid from the 49ers and the Eagles to sit at home and not coach. Just sit at home this year.
And now let me give him some credit because I think that let me give him some credit in the NFL. So he started his first two seasons with the Eagles 10-6 and 10-6, and in that first year in 2013, I think some people do forget about this. I do. 10-6, went to the playoffs, lost in the playoffs. 10-6 the next year, 6-9 in 2015, got fired at the end of the season after week 16, and then 2016 San Francisco with them 1 year, it went 2-14. But I think that's me personally. I had to actually go back and remember that he made the playoffs in his first season with the Eagles.
Oh, he did.
And he wasn't.
But that was Andy Reid's talent. That was Andy Reid's team still.
2014, he also was 10-6, 6-9 in 2015. Mm-hmm. But I think that what that shows is that Chip Kelly's not all bad, but I think that he was just so mirrored with terrible things around him in San Francisco. No one should want that San Francisco job. It's where head coaches will go to lose their job after a year. I think that it's not a good setup for them, but Chip Kelly can be, and Ricky, to your point, have more success in college. That's where he had his success. A record of what? 44-6?
46-7.
46-7.
33-3 in conference play.
I mean, wow. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
He even went to a national title game.
Yeah, he did.
Lost to Scam Newton. But he lost to Scam Newton, who was the number one pick in the draft after that year, though. And that was on a last-second field goal that I think they lost that game, too.
But it's the fact that he belongs in college. He belongs in college football where his scheme, the way that he wants to run things, works and works well. I think that he just will have more success there. I think that he can actually look what he did at Oregon. He had something in place that other teams looked at and wanted to do. That's what you want. That's what Nick Saban is. People look at Nick Saban and go, oh my gosh, please, if I just get on my knees and bow down, will you give me the secret recipe? He ain't doing it. But that's what people look at Nick Saban as. This guy's got the keys to the college football kingdom. Chip Kelly could do that in college football. The reason being is because his systems work in college. His systems just work. You get the right players. He had the right player in Mariota. He had other players that fit that West Coast fast-paced, go. That play needs to be running under 2 seconds. That play's got to be running under this. Thing. He gets players in the system, and the system works.
It would be different if college, like the recruiting process for college, was the same as it is in the NFL. In the NFL, the players don't get to pick the team. It's the team drafts the player. Well, in college, it's basically, I just got to win this player over. He can target the guys that he wants, bring them in, and he's a guy that's had success in college to where, like you said, guys would want to play for him and would be like, hey, he's had success in college. I want to play for him. I'll win with Chip Kelly. So that's where college could also benefit him more because players actually, the high school kids coming out, actually get the choice of where they want to play. In the NFL, it was different. You had to kind of sit there and strategize and, okay, we want to pick this player. Oh, wait, he's off the board. We didn't get him. Would have been a totally different game if those players actually got the pick. Maybe a few of them might have picked Chip Kelly coming out of college because that's kind of more of a college-style offense. But to me, I look at the teams that this is a really, like, and I mentioned this on the onside kick. The Niners did Chip Kelly no favors because if I was York and I was like, you know what, I am going to fire Chip Kelly, when the college regular season ended and jobs were opening up, I would have called Chip into my office and would have been nice and said, hey, Chip, just want you to know, I don't want to make it official, but I'm letting you know now that we're most likely not going to bring you back and we are going to fire you. So if you wanted to look for a college job now, feel free. I would have gave him that kind of knowledge because then he could have went out and interviewed for one of the big programs that was coming out. Hell, he could have fucking went back to Oregon if he really wanted to. Now he's sitting there and really it's kind of, well, is Minnesota looking at me? Does Minnesota want me? And really, if I'm Chip Kelly, I don't care if Minnesota wants me because I ain't fucking going to Minnesota. Because not just with everything that's going on with Minnesota right now, that's not a destined program for me. If I'm Chip Kelly, I'm sitting out a year, and I'm going to see based off this year, two coaches that will probably be fired at the end of the year if they have bad seasons. Brian Kelly, and then you got Butch Jones. I could see Chip Kelly being the head coach of either the Vols or the Fighting Irish if either of those coaches get fired.
Ricky, how about this? Chip Kelly says, he's leaving his options open. Mm-hmm. Do you think that he could end up, because we don't have, there's head coaching vacancies in the NFL. Do you think that he could end up on a staff of one of those guys as a coordinator? Do you think that he would even do it? Or do you think that he would hold out, do what you said, and what I think he'll do is sit out for this season, wait till someone or 4 people get fired next year. There's going to college jobs come open like NFL jobs come open.
I would say
there would be
no.
something.
I would say no. And the reason why is Chip Kelly, it's kind of like once you go to eating good food, you don't want to go back to the crap. Once you've been eating ramen noodles all through college, then you get a job out of college and you're finally eating like good takeout meals, you don't want to fucking go back to eating ramen noodles. You want to eat the takeout, eat the good restaurant food that you've been eating. That's what Chip Kelly. He's had the life as a head coach, both college and NFL. He doesn't want to go back and be a coordinator. And the thing that he can benefit from is he's got the Eagles and the Niners basically saying, hey, we're going to pay you to not coach for us. We are going to pay you to sit on your couch, or we're going to pay you to be an analyst for an NFL network, or really he could really do some damage as like a Fox Sports analyst on the college side, or just something in college analyst, kind of like what Tim Tebow's doing for a year, and maybe a little like Tom Coughlin, but for the college side, I think he should just sit around and wait for that perfect, I'm going to say perfect college job, because I don't think the NFL head coaching job opens up for him.
No, I don't think so. And I don't even know if, again, a head coaching job in the NFL, I think, is out of the question for Chip Kelly. San Francisco ruined that for him. Mm-hmm. But I think that, it may not be out of the realm of possibilities that someone says, Chip, I want you to come over here. I want you to be my offensive coordinator. And, could it be just so good that he would go over there? I don't know. Probably not, because I think he likes I think he loved being in college. But sometimes that makes you wonder, Ricky, why leave? Why leave? Why would you, and if you're going to leave, why leave, go to the NFL? Because there are so many times that we've seen it. College athletes, outstanding in college, cannot make the leap to the NFL. Matt Leinart, for example, a failure in the NFL. Same thing when it comes to college coaches. Outstanding college coaches go to the NFL, and it looks like they don't know what they're doing. Come back, again, outstanding college coaches.
And here's what I kind of want to throw out there to you, because right now I'm looking at an article that both of us have, because I emailed it to us, from foxsports.com. And they listed 5 near-perfect fits for Chip Kelly. I mentioned 2 of them, Tennessee and Notre Dame. I want to ask you this to kind of put a kibosh on the Chip Kelly segment here. Either one of these jobs, or is there another job that you think next year opens up, and that's where Chip Kelly, where do you see Chip Kelly if he does become a college head coach? Who is he the head coach of if he does it for not this upcoming season, but for the next season?
You know, in all honesty, if there was a job that came open in the Pac-12, I think that he would jump all over that. Then again, you know, you have to take a look and what job in the Pac-12 would be coming open. Oregon is filled. Washington, that's not going to come open. Colorado seems to be pretty set. Mm-hmm. Washington State, they're pretty good. You know, I don't know if there's anything right there. And I only say the Pac-12, and I'm thinking Pac-12 because, you know, that's where I see, you know, Chip Kelly, because of Oregon, because that's where he was. That's what he would know those teams really well. Mm-hmm. You know, I guess I just don't see him in. I don't see him in the SEC. I don't see him in the SEC. I do. I don't see him in the SEC. I don't. I would see him. I would see him in the Pac-12. I would see him in the Big 12. Offense.
The Big 12, that's the first conference that came to my mind, but the only job that I think opens up there that he would want to take is if Oklahoma decided for some reason to move on from Bob Stoops. And because really, what other job? I mean, Texas just hired Tom Herman. I don't see Tom Herman getting fired anytime soon, unless like a team like Iowa State makes a change. Maybe Chip Kelly could see himself in red and yellow,
or if there was, or if the Texas Tech job came available.
Ryan Gosling could be looking for some movies to do.
Texas Tech is a team that has just waver. They see these teams getting better, leaping over them, and they're just still right there.
But then without Cliff, how would Hot Moms in Texas hit on the Texas Tech head coach?
You saying Chip Kelly don't look good?
doesn't look like Cliff down there in Texas Tech, or Ryan Gosling.
No, but I think that they would be pretty impressive if they got wins.
Yeah, that too. The thing that I'm thinking about, and call me crazy, this is a little conspiracy.
You're crazy.
Me. Everyone knows that I like Colin Cowherd. I like listening to his show. And the one thing that he mentions is the reason why the Big Ten is good is they've got coaches. They've got Jim Harbaugh. They've got Urban Meyer.
They've got coaches. They got Jim Harbaugh.
They've got D'Antoni, who's a damn good head coach. You look at the SEC, they got Nick Saban. Kevin Sumlin, not that good of a coach. Butch Jones,
Gus Malzahn.
Gus Malzahn he had one good season. This year was kind of like they were okay, and then finally, boom, made a bowl game. We'll see what he's like with Jarrett Stidham. I'm not saying Malzahn's a bad coach, but they don't have great coaches in the SEC. I think if a job like Texas Tech or Tennessee opens up, Chip Kelly can say, you know what, with my offensive mind and just that because the one thing you got to think about is at Oregon, the one thing Chip Kelly hated to do, he hated recruiting. Hated recruiting. In the SEC, you don't need to recruit, baby. the kids, they just want to play for you.
Unless you're Missouri.
Because you're in the SEC.
You got to recruit if you're Mizzou.
If you're Missouri. Unless, I mean, what, they had Michael Sam in that great defense, 2 years ago? And since we've heard nothing from the Missouri Tigers. But really, the SEC doesn't have to recruit as hard as the rest of the conferences because they are the SEC and players. They have the talent pool just right there in their backyard. They want to come and play for them.
They do. They absolutely do. I think
that's why I think the SEC could work for him.
Sure, but I mean, take a look at the jobs. What jobs is he going to get? He's not going to He's not going to get Alabama, obviously. He's not going to get Auburn. I don't think
Tennessee or Texas A&M. Those are the only two.
I don't think he's getting Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M, Kevin Sumlin solidified himself this season.
I'm not saying they are for sure he loses his job.
I know you're not.
But those are the only two that I could see becoming open. More so Tennessee. Because
this is the last year for Butch Jones.
I think
this
Butch
is
Jones is on the hot seat.
it.
Yeah. And really it's that Tennessee job I'm looking at. Because the one thing I know I said Notre Dame, but the one thing I am going to talk myself out of it is if Chip Kelly goes to Notre Dame, he's going to have to put some work in recruiting because if you can't bring in talent to Notre Dame, you ain't going to be successful.
I could see Chip Kelly at Notre Dame. For sure. But I think the reason why I look at Texas Tech is because it's Big 12. It's offense. It's spread offense. It's passing. It's no defense. He doesn't even have to worry about it.
Don't have to play defense, even though their Oregon teams weren't the cupcakiest. Is that a word? Cupcakiest teams on defense?
You just made it one.
And I made it a word. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below. What do you guys think about Chip Kelly? Do you think he's going to come back to college? If so, what are some teams that you think he could work at if he came back to the college ranks as a head coach? But, well, thank you guys for checking out this video from the Primetime Podcast. If you want to check out more, click right over here. The video's right over here. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.